Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
It was nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.
Welcome into an all-new episode of Bare Knuckle Fighting main event here on SportsGrid. I'm Brian Ciano. Thank you so much for joining us as we take our weekly look at everything going on in the world of the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships. And it was an off week. We did not have fights this week as we still recover from BKFC 62 and, of course, have the holiday coming up this weekend, so no fights as well. We're going to have to wait one more week till we get that card on the 12th. But we're looking forward to more fights and more action to come. But let's look back on what we had and look forward to what we have coming up, as we do when we have these off weeks. It's going to be a lot of great stuff to talk about still on the show, as we will talk to some of the fighters that were involved on that card down in Hollywood, Florida. We're going to talk to the new champ, the new light heavyweight champ, Jared Captain Deadpool Warren. Of course, been on the show many times. First time he will be on as a title holder after he gets that belt over Jomi Escoboza with a unanimous decision that should have been a second or third round knockout. It was just a complete and utter performance by him, just destruction of his opponent. Credit to Jomi for sticking in there, the Archangel, but really had no chance by the time you clean up that third round, and it's 3-10-8 rounds. So great performance by Jared. We'll talk to him about that. We'll see what his thoughts on that. See if he thought they should have stopped it earlier, and how he feels about being a title holder now, and what's in the future. Is there anybody that he wants to give that first shot to defending that title, or is it just a situation of whoever they put in front of him as the champ? We will also talk about the BKFC 62 fight with Justin Iberra, Joy Boy, one of the more flamboyant guys you saw on that card, just in his fighting style. And in his result, he gets the knockout win in his fight. A great finish over Rick Caruso in the second round. Rocking the Apollo Creed look from really head to foot, because he had the, of course, red, white, and blue shorts. He had the red, white, and blue cowboy hat, especially if you look at his Instagram and social media, him out partying in the clubs afterwards, celebrating the win. But even had it with the blue hair, going Smurf hair there, carving out the red, white, and blue throughout. We'll have to see if there was any connection for him with the holiday coming up July 4th, or maybe Apollo Creed. We got to figure out. There's got to be some reason to pull out the flag as much as he did with his whole get-up in that fight. But he rocked it well. And he rocked his opponent, Rick Caruso, with a nice knockout punch in the second round after taunting him a little bit, getting in his head. It was a boring first round, gets in his head, and then gets the victory in the second. We'll talk to him about that. What was the game plan? What was he trying to do? And did he get exactly what he wanted with the way he started acting in the second round, kind of drawing him in? Because it worked out well. Was that the plan, or was he just having fun messing around and seeing what happened? We'll talk to him coming up later in the show. And then we'll finish up looking ahead. We have a big fight, whole fight card coming up in Sturgis. That's right. August 3rd at Sturgis Bike Week, they're going to have BKFC. What better way to celebrate, some of the craziness of Bike Week than throwing in some bare knuckle fighting? Have a lot of BKFC fighters that have connections, I'm sure, to the motorcycle riding world. I know one of those, Mike Richmond, he's a big motorcycle guy. So we'll talk to one of the guys who's going to be on that card who fought Richmond last, and that is Eric Lozano, who's going to be fighting on that card. Moving up a weight class, going to cruiserweight for this one. We'll find out why the change. We'll talk about some of the training partners he has had that we see on social media, and about that fight against Richmond, how tough it was for him, what he learned, what he showed, and what people have said about it afterwards. All that coming up on this episode of Bare Knuckle Fighting's main event. But before we look back at that BKFC Hollywood card once again, let's do a little looking forward. As I mentioned, we have a lot of cards coming up. Sturgis will be one of those in August, but we're going to look at some other fights that we've kind of briefly touched on in the last couple episodes, but haven't really gotten to delve deeper in because of how much action we have had with fight cards going on. Let's look first at one coming up in August. Right after that Sturgis card, we'll get August 16th in Kansas City. Going to be headlined by Elvin El Bandito Brito and Jake the Librarian, or the Gypsy, Lindsay, whichever nickname we're using at this point. The Gypsy and El Bandito matching up there at welterweight for BKFC Fight Night. This is going to be an awesome fight. I mean, this could be, a number card. This could be a fight in the top couple fights of a pay-per-view card, because while El Bandito Brito was, kind of on the downswing for a lot of people after losing 2 fights in a row to Palomino, who, of course, is tough to beat for anybody, so no one would, shake a stick at that one. But then he looks pretty bad against Trinidad Snake, and people were wondering, is this the end? Is he getting older, getting slower? Is this, the former welterweight champ losing his title, and is this the end of his reign and maybe career with the BKFC? But then he comes back a couple weeks ago and just steamrolls Jamar Ford. I mean, it was quick, it was brutal, it was just decimating how quickly he beat Ford, who was, coming in on a hot streak and getting a lot of hype. So he is back in the mix at welterweight, getting more attention once again, and he has come out and said, fought too many times to decision. He is looking for finishes. He's not looking to go 5 rounds. He's looking to end fights. That could be exciting. That could be great for his power. Sometimes going to leave him open to getting some shots, from his opponent that he's going to eat, and we'll see if he can survive those at this point in his career. But still, El Bandito is alive and well and looking to do more damage, and he'll try to do that against Jake Lindsay, the Gypsy, who's 4-1 in the BKFC. He's coming off his first loss in the BKFC against Gogo Slavetsky back in August. That was a decision loss where he was trying to win that belt, that welterweight title, the interim title that now is being held by Austin Trout as the champion. So he lost that one. Before that was 4-0, coming off wins over guys like Connor Tierney over in the UK, where he just picked apart Tierney. We thought, this guy going over there, he's great, but Connor Tierney in his home backyard is going to use that boxing and just pick him apart over 5 rounds. He didn't. It was the Gypsy who got the win. Also beat Brandon Gertz and others, so he's had a nice run in the BKFC before that first loss. We'll see how he rebounds now going against the former champion, El Bandito Brito. I think this is going to be one where it's going to be about the style, as we said. El Bandito's going for the kill. He wants to come back with some scalps. Does he get the win, trying to go and steamroll his opponent? Or does the Gypsy use that boxing, use that length, and stay on the outside and pick apart El Bandito in the same way that a Trinidad Snake did and Palomino did? All that will remain to be seen, and we'll find that out August 16th down in Kansas City. Another fight that's really interesting that we get to see coming up in October. We're going to have to wait a little longer for this one, unfortunately, but it's going to be over in Spain. The first time the BKFC will go to Spain. We've heard Dave Feldman talk about that after the win of Tenaglia in the UK, when he's coming off his majority decision over James Lights Out Lilly. 2-0 on the BKFC. He holds that UK belt, number 4 in the lightweight rankings. Maybe a little early to some people that a guy that's only 2-0 is getting ranked already for that division, especially when there is so much talent in that division. But listen, when you go take out a guy like Lights Out Lilly, he was fought for that title, and do it in his home country, it gets you a lot of attention, especially the way he did it. He was very dominating. I don't think that should have been a majority decision. I thought that should have been clearly a unanimous decision. I was surprised that it wasn't sweep across the board for Tenaglia. I thought he handled Lights Out Lilly very well and did what he needed to do to get that win. And now he holds that title, and obviously it's not going to be on the line here. as we're going over to Spain. But he is from Spain, so now we get to go to the BKFC for the first time in Spain, and he'll headline that against Tony Loco Soto, a guy who we've been calling for to fight for a lightweight title for a while. 6-0 in the BKFC, number 2 in the lightweight division, with wins over guys like Kevin Kroom, Tyler Goodjohn, Wanya Reed, who's making a big name for himself in that division lately. So, he has a lot of wins, and a bunch of them against some guys who we all know and have seen fight in the BKFC and do some great things, and he's gotten victories over all of them. There has been no one who has beaten him yet. We've called for him to get a title shot against Baboon Palomino on this show numerous times. It has not happened. He finally gets to fight a title holder, but it is the UK title holder over in Spain. But as we know, Loco Soto is not scared of anyone, anything, anytime. I mean, this is a guy who's not only a BKFC fighter, he's also a prison guard and a former professional skateboarder. So, this guy getting a chance to go fight in Spain against Tenaglia in front of his home country doesn't faze him at all. I'm sure it's probably just another opportunity that he's looking forward to and trying to get another win. This is going to be an awesome fight. Both these guys can, pack a punch and knock a guy down, even though they're only 155ers, and they can also outbox a guy with speed and precision and great defense. So it's going to be very interesting to see who can be the one to rule the day in this and probably put themselves up for a title shot in the U.S. Not in the U.K., where Tenaglia holds that belt, but in the U.S., in the original BKFC. We'll see. Looking forward to that one. I wish that we got that earlier, but it'll be some fun times in fall for that. When we come back, speaking of titles, we're going to talk to Captain Deadpool, Jared Warren, who now holds that light heavyweight belt after his win at BKFC 62 over Jomi Escoboza here on SportsGrid.
England survived yesterday in the Euro round of 16. They score into stoppage time, and then in extra time, they score the game winner.
You want to wait to the very final minutes? And I say this again, Ben. I don't know. I think you were here last year for my rant on this. Why don't we just play soccer the way you play it when you're down a goal with like 5 minutes to go?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. He was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots and we've talked about it on here that a law was passed to allow the market to open up, and we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Bare Knuckle Fighting's main event here on Sports. We continue to kind of recap what we just saw down in Hollywood, Florida a couple weeks ago. Look ahead to some of the other fights we have coming up in the coming weeks as we have these couple weeks off here amongst the BKFC fights, with the holidays coming up. And, just needing a break because it's been so much action over the first 6 months of 2024. But one of those guys who saw some of that action and put good use to those fists and got himself some gold was our man, Captain Deadpool, Jared Warren, who joins us now, getting that light heavyweight title down in Hollywood, Florida, BKFC 62. Jared, thanks so much for joining us. How are you feeling just over a week out after that fight? It was a good fight back and forth. I thought you controlled most of the action, but obviously, with a guy like you face, you're going to take some good shots as well with Jomi. So how are you feeling after going through 5 rounds?
I feel great, man. Just got a few new stitches in the old eyebrow. But other than that, man, I feel good. I feel healthy. I got to take a week off from training after the fight and just relax a little bit. But yeah, man, life's good.
Yeah, it's good to be the king, and now you are. You've been waiting for that for a while. Had a couple of, you had the shot with Dyer for the interim title. Unfortunately, that ended how it did. You went over the pond and took out Christie, and then don't get to come home with his belt. So finally, you get that gold that you have been going after these last couple fights, and it's well deserved. I mean, that fight, honestly, I was a little surprised that it went all 5 rounds. I thought that it should have been stopped after the second knockdown, the knockdown in the second, where he face planted, and then kind of had wobbly legs when he got back up. I don't know why the ref didn't stop it there. Then the third, again, you knock him down again. He gets back up, but does not look right and is kind of clutching and grabbing more. I mean, you're through 3 rounds, getting 10-8s every round. He really has no chance and looks like he's just more worse for the wear every time. Were you surprised that they let it go all 5 rounds?
Yeah, very surprised, especially after that last knockdown. After watching, I was like, I remember thinking that he wasn't, stepping to the ref, too precisely. Like they usually ask, like, step forward, step to the side, and they want to see that you're with it. And he was on his feet, but he definitely didn't look like he had his wits back together. I don't know. Maybe the ref had the thought like, well, it's a title fight. Maybe I'll just let him, push through if he can push through. And, to his credit, he did. But yeah, I mean, at that point, mathematically, he had no chance of beating me. It would have just taken him to get some kind of lucky knockout or something. But going into the 4th round, I knew I couldn't lose, but I still never took my foot off the gas. I didn't want to dance around and just coast through the last 2 rounds. I wanted to keep pushing and I wanted to fight. I wanted to hit him for as long as I could. And, I think at the very least it made for an exciting war, an exciting 5 rounds. And, yeah, it was awesome, man. It felt good to come out on top like that.
And he talked about being more aggressive in this fight because, you guys fought before. This was a rematch, and his first fight in the BKFC, you guys fought actually. He said that he wanted to be more aggressive, but it seemed like still, after you got a good couple of shots in early on off the scratch there, that he started backing up again and kind of, being cautious and knowing that you had that power. Did you feel that early on that, once you landed a few shots, you were in control and this was just a matter of, if not when? What did you feel like, through those first couple rounds? As the first round you get the knockdown, second round knockdown, third round knockdown. At what point are you sitting there saying, all right, just don't get hit and you got this?
Yeah, no, and that was to a T what my coaches had said before the fight. They're like, I think, he might come out of the gate a little more aggressive than last time. Try and stand his ground a little more, but they're like, I guarantee, you hit him 2 or 3 good times and he's going to revert back into survival mode, back into his old ways. And he did, I'm not trying to discredit him, but, usually when you keep constantly wrapping somebody up like that, grabbing them and clinching them and not fighting is typically a type of survival. You know what I mean? Like, nobody can do too much damage when you got them held, chest to chest. So unfortunately there was a lot of that going on. Again, I give him kudos for not quitting and for making it through the whole fight. But, yeah, man, I didn't ever feel in any danger. I never got clipped with anything that, had me worried or rocked. I remember getting the cut. I was told it was a headbutt. I haven't even gone back and watched it, but either way, it's not anything that I felt. It was just a little nick on the eyebrow. But yeah, dude, it was definitely a war.
Yeah, and you could tell the survival mode after, especially that third round. As we said, probably could have been stopped even earlier than that. But a great performance by you, pretty much a clinic, and you put the rest of that division on notice. And this isn't any fluke. This isn't just a flash knockout got you that title. You did what you needed to do, and you picked him apart the whole time. One of the toughest guys in that division who has had some great power. So congratulations to you. And how did it feel, when you finally got that belt around your waist? As we said, you've been chasing that for a long time, and you've had a couple shots at it almost here, and it just didn't come to fruition for one reason or another. Now that you finally got what you've been chasing, how did that feel?
Dude, it's hard to describe, but it really was amazing. I had been chasing it for a long time, 5 years here with BKFC, but 20 years in my fight career, that I've been fighting. And as a kid, when I started, we all dream big, and my dream and goal was always to be, a professional world champion. And, it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come quick, but it finally came. And, I plan on just enjoying it and making the most of it, and see what all can come along with holding the title.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what is next for you with that title. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back with Captain Deadpool, we'll continue to talk about him holding this belt and what is next, and some of the things that have been going on around him as well. Now it's going to be very interesting with this division. We have Lorenzo Hunt not only giving up the belt, but allegedly being suspended. We'll get his thoughts on that. We'll talk about who else could be in this division. I mean, when you look at the rankings, you beat Danny Christie. You have the business with Josh Dyer, but he's got to fight for August. You beat Jomi. Maybe Doolittle Richmond, I don't know, but we'll talk about all that when we come back with Jared Warren next here on Bare Knuckle Fighting's main event. The new light heavyweight champion of the BKFC, who gained that, of course, back at Hollywood, Florida, BKFC 62, after beating Jomi Escoboza in a unanimous decision that should have been a knockout a lot earlier. But we'll be right back here with Jared Warren on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can he be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just did.
The bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Do you believe Diggs will come up big with Stroud or be the disappointment that he was with Allen in the last, year?
It's not all on Diggs as it was with the Bills. So he only needs to be a secondary piece. Remember now, he's in his 30s, Pharrell. He's on the back nine of his career. They don't need him to be super. They just need him to do a good job.
Pharrell coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Crochet's on the mound, I get it, Joe. But my goodness, 220 on Chicago. Many people consider this still to be the worst team in Major League Baseball. What gives here today?
We could see something out of him in this one. I am not doing that. I would take the Colorado Rockies straight up on that money line out of principle in this one.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Bare Knuckle Main Event here on SportsGrid as we continue to talk about the great title win by our man Jared, Captain Deadpool Warren, now the new light heavyweight champion of the BKFC. Jared, I touched on it before we went to break there, where this division stands right now. Obviously, you're holding the title. If you look at 1 through 5, Christie you beat, Escoboza at 3 you beat. You have obviously that red mark from Doolittle. Maybe you want to make that up. Josh Dyer, who you have history with, unfortunately, is going to be locked into a fight in August. So, we'd have to see that come way down the line if it did. The Juggernaut probably suspended for 18 months now after giving up that title. And testing positive allegedly when he tried to go for that heavyweight title. Who is on your hit list? I mean, obviously, no, it's a lot different now that you are the one who's being chased instead of the one chasing. But is there anybody that you're looking to, give that first shot at the belt, or is that something you have to wait and see what Dave Feldman and Nate Shook come up with?
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be, up to them, see what they offer me, what they throw out there. But yeah, you had mentioned Mike Richmond. He was at the fights. And, me and him, chatted a little bit, and he's like, yeah, man, he's like, I'm back, this and that. I'm like, yeah, because I was at his last fight over in Clearwater, because that's right down the street from me. And, he's always been, a top contender, been in the mix and stuff. I know he had a couple rough back-to-back losses, but, he's got a similar record to my own. I think that would be an exciting fight if they want to make it happen. And part of it is like I'm kind of, I'm getting a little bored with the rematches, to be honest. I want some fresh meat in there. So if that's someone that they throw out there, that would be cool. But yeah, man, ultimately, like whatever they throw at me, I'm down.
Another name I've heard you put out there that I know is easy for everyone to put out, because right now he is one of the biggest names in the sport and probably draws the biggest paydays to fight him. Probably a little bit lighter than you, but it seems game to fight anybody's, of course, Mike Perry. But of course, you've also had your teammate chasing him for probably the better part of a year right now, with Redneck Mundell wanting him to fight him for the title and him just being uninterested. It's not going to cause any friction if you get him first over Dave, right?
Nah, I hope not, man. If he does fight Dave, like, I'd be super happy for Dave, man. He, like you said, he has been chasing it. And if Perry does, prefer the 175 class, like, I think that'd be an awesome matchup. I'm just throwing my name in the hat, because he has talked about that he feels better, feels stronger at 185. And I think the majority of his fights with BKFC have been in the 185 division. I think maybe the first couple were at 175. And he's mentioned me on a podcast a number of months back, and he said, yeah, if I was going to unify the titles, I like 185, and he's like, I like Jared Warren at that class, so he kind of brought me up out of the blue, which was cool. I think him and Mundell kind of have beef, because they fought in the past in MMA and stuff. Like, I like the guy, I respect the guy, and I think it would be a hell of a fight. So I'm not trying to downplay him and say that, he sucks or he's or anything like that. Like, I think he's cool. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's had some awesome guys on, basically on his hit list that he's taken out. And, we both like to come forward. We both hit hard. And, if they ever wanted to finally do that matchup of, somebody that's, I call previous famous, and someone like myself that's homegrown, I would love it. I'm sure I'll have to get in line. I'm sure there's a lot of guys calling him out, but hey, man, if you do want to unify and you want the world title, let's get after it.
Yeah, I've been calling for him to fight Dave for a long time, but it'd be great to see him fight you too. Of course, anybody that fights him, he's going to have to wait a little bit after he gets his boxing match against the Paul brother, but we'll see that coming up. Quickly, we only have a minute left, but I want to get your thoughts on a guy who you were previously chasing, the juggernaut, Lorenzo Hunt, now allegedly being suspended for 18 months with this test out in California before he fought Mick Terrell for that title. What do you know about it, and what do you think about now him kind of being out of the BKFC for a while?
It's a tough break for him, man. I only know what is out there in the news. That's public knowledge and stuff with him popping positive for a couple things. But it sucks, man. Like, 'cause he's a little older, for the fighters, just kind of like myself, and these are crucial years. You want to make the most of them, and if he's going to be out, that could be a career. I hope that.
Yeah, that stings. Hopefully we see him back with the BKFC. He's been a great face for a while, but definitely not the way you want to end something if that's the way it goes. But thank you so much, Captain Deadpool. Congratulations on being the new light heavyweight champion for the BKFC.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
It was nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.
Welcome back to Bare Knuckle Fighting main event here on SportsGrid, and we continue to talk about these great fights. We talked about all the fights that we had in Hollywood, Florida, and the great results for some performances that we had, some great wins. It was just really exciting, a lot of finishes, even some of the unanimous decisions like we saw with Captain Deadpool earlier. Just probably should have been a knockout, but a lot of great fights there. It was exciting to watch, and it's going to be more exciting to watch, I'm sure, when we continue to come back into action with the BKFC coming up in a couple weeks. One of the guys who's going to be on BKFC 63 August 3rd out in Sturgis is our man, Eric Lozano. Eric, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you coming on. We always love talking to you guys as you get ready for a fight. You got a couple weeks out here for this one. As you're, how are you right now in camp? Is it camp just starting? Are you a couple weeks in and starting to, pick things out and get fight prep and the game plan going? Where are you right now as you prepare for this fight coming up in August?
I just got back to it pretty hard last week. Started doing 2 days, working out with my son before work, and then getting with my squad, which is another bare knuckle fighter. It's gonna be in my corner, Esteban Rodriguez, aka Mohawk. So we've been putting in some work, and we're gonna continue to go with the same game plan. I know I'm fighting a taller, a bigger guy, moving up a weight class for this one. Not that I want to be there. I just wanted to stay active, and that's all that was available at the time. So I said, okay, let's run it. So.
Yeah, we know Mohawk very well. He's been on the show many times. I mean, I don't think there's been a more positive guy I've ever met, especially in fighting, than that guy. He's always happy, always smiling. For a guy who gets, punched in the face a lot for a living, he can get that guy down. What's it like training with him and getting ready for this fight? And, you mentioned your son. I've seen a lot of posts about, being in the gym with your son, working with him. How much does that help as well, when you're going through these tough days of camp and getting ready for a fight? You don't want to get up early and do it to have your son there to support you and be with you and look up to you as you're doing this.
Oh, for sure. My sons are my motivation. So they're always pushing me to do better. And I'm setting the bar high for them, show them that I could do it at my age now. And Mohawk just has energy for days, and I love working with the guy. He's always happy, like you said, and he loves to train and work out.
And now, as you said, you're moving up in this one. You're going cruiserweight for this. You said it's just about being active, but how do you think that affects you as you get into this fight against a bigger, taller opponent? What are the things that you have to change? Some of the things that you do. Obviously, you're known for being a good power puncher. You're a tough guy. As we saw in that Richmond fight, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But is there anything that you have to adjust as you move up a weight class with whether it is your style and how you want to fight it, or how you defend against your opponent? What do you have to do as you get ready for this?
I think I'm gonna have to be all the way in or all the way out. Like you said, my opponent is he's a lot bigger. I think he's like 6'4". He's pretty long, and I think he only has one BKFC fight under his belt, and it was a clean knockout over Watson, I believe. And now he's going against me, which I have a little bit more experience in the circled ring. So I think it's gonna be more me having to be technical and pick my shots and how to go get in there. He seems like he has power, and yeah, I'm going up a weight class like you mentioned, but I fought the Juggernaut at 205, I believe, and I took him on 2 weeks' notice, and I've been training a lot more. Like, my preparation for Richmond is one of my better camps, and I'm just looking to add to that camp and keep on pushing forward.
Yeah, you never been one to shy away from a challenge at all in your BKFC career. As you see the names on your list of the guys you have fought. I mean, just guys like you said, the Hunt, Lorenzo the Juggernaut. You got Riki, Boswick, Mike Rickman and Rock Richmond, who you just fought. You've never shied away from a challenge, so this is no different for you. Is that something that is just that competitive fire in there? You always want to face the best. You don't want to, kind of get in there, warm up against the guy, and get your feet wet. You just want to go right for the top.
Well, when I started fighting, started a little later in my career. I was 29 and started MMA, and went 16-3 as an amateur, and then nobody would fight me, so I had to go pro after a year. And right off the bat, I was fighting top contenders, top fighters. I never backed off from a fight. I've even fought on 3 days' notice at heavyweight and MMA. I actually fought one against one of my best friends for a title. And I've never shied away from a fight as long as I'm healthy and I feel good. I'm willing to fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. That's been me, and that's why that's how I'm known out here in Michigan and Texas, where I'm from.
Well, we saw in the Mike Richmond fight, as we've seen with all your fights, how tough you are. I mean, it was very tough. That first round, he dropped you. It seemed like it was going to be a long night. You came back in rounds 2 and 3, and you guys were pretty much even in strikes going into like the 4th and 5th rounds before he, knocked you down in the 5th to end it. But what was that fight like for you? And, how much heart and respect do you feel like people can get for you when they see that kind of performance, where you come in and it's a tough first round, but then you keep battling back and you don't let it stop until the very end?
Oh, for sure. That's just that fight in me. That some people have that dog fight in them, and in bare knuckles, you got to have that. I had never actually been dropped. Like you said, I got dropped in the first round. The only time I had gotten dropped when I got KO'd by Lorenzo, and my first BKFC fight, and we were banging, but it was awkward. I had never been dropped previous to that, to where I could get up, so it was a little different for me, and I was able to finish that round. And I'm like, all right, we got a big fight. I mean, he cut me in the first round. Took, I think, 15 stitches here, and I ended up catching him in the first round too, and split him open above his eye. So I was like, yeah, now we're both being, baby, let's go. And he ended up catching me. I think I was off balance, and later in the round, I was having fun out there. It's one of my better camps, like I mentioned, for bare knuckles, and I felt great in there. I was having fun. He caught me. I'd be like, let's go. So,
well, it was a tough fight. You put on a great performance, even in the loss, as you always have shown. Every time you get in there, it's an exciting fight. We can't wait to see you fight in Sturgis at Bike Week. This is going to be even more exciting, a new way for the BKFC to be showcased. We're looking forward to it. Can't wait to see you fight. Thanks so much for joining us on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
After Atlanta won the draft lottery, that I was taking Ricochet number 1. When he was at plus 425, I said Ricochet's going number 1. Well, hot damn, who's the big minus money favorite to go number 1 in the draft? Zachary Ricochet. Hopefully you had jumped on this earlier enough because the train has left the station.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
England survived yesterday in the Euro round of 16. They score in the stoppage time, and then in extra time, they score the game winner.
You want to wait till the very final minutes? And I say this again, Ben, I don't know, I think you were here last year for my rant on this. Why don't we just play soccer the way you play it when you're down a goal with like 5 minutes to go?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into Bare Knuckle Fighting main event here on SportsGrid. As we continue to look back and look forward, we got a lot of events coming up. We still got to look back at some of the great fights we had just a couple weeks ago, though, down in Hollywood, Florida. There were so many great performances. We got to bring them up. One of those guys who had one of those performances and continues to cement his name as a contender in the bantamweight division is Joy Boy Iberra, Justin Iberra, joining us right now as he comes on the show. Justin, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Great performance there against Rick Caruso. We'll get to that fight in just a minute and the knockout that you had. But first, I want to know, it's been a short time you've been with the BKFC. It's only been just over a year. 4-0 already. Great performances. You've really ripped through everyone that's been putting your way so far. Got yourself into those rankings. But what was it that made you start with the BKFC? What brought you in and made you decide to, try taking off the gloves and throwing straight knuckles to face?
Yeah, it was kind of just a random decision, honestly. I was training the former middleweight world champ, Francesco Ricci. He's a buddy of mine. So I was training him at my gym for like his last 3 to 4 fights. We got the title together and everything. We lost it together or whatever. I know he's looking to come back. But after I had my first professional boxing fight, I kind of took like a year off of fighting. I kind of just thought I wasn't going to go anywhere until I started training Frank and BKFC. And I was just kind of looking at the competition, kind of looking at the exposure I could get out of it. So I decided, why not give it a shot? At first, it was supposed to just be a one and done kind of thing, kind of get the experience, get the exposure I can out of it, and then put the gloves back on and see if I could spark that love for fighting again. And then, 4 fights later, we're still in it. Now we're gunning for the title. The whole game plan has changed. So we're in it for the long run here now.
Yeah, I was reading about that in the interview they did with you on the BKFC app and website. People go check that out. They said, it's just supposed to come in, do it once, just say, let's see what it's like, and then all of a sudden, it's drawing you in, and you've just been ripping through things, climbing up these rankings right now. What's been the big thing that made you want to stay and made you want to, become a part of this and try to get that championship? And, now that you, obviously it's different training someone as to getting in there yourself and experiencing it and doing it and finding out the things that you need to work on or change, from one combat sport to the next, especially from glove boxing to taking them off and just going bare knuckles. So what has changed with you over the 4 fights that you felt you have gotten better at or adjusted to and, really made yourself feel that you are at home right now in the BKFC?
It's just my natural competitive edge that kept me in the game. I was like, I want to do better. Each fight that went by, I want to do even better. I want to do even better. I want to do even better. And I feel like after the first 2 fights, 3 fights even, I was like, I still haven't shown everybody like what I'm capable of. You know, the guy I am in the ring when I'm training. Like, so that's what I wanted to showcase in this 4th fight. I wanted to have more fun with it. I wanted to lay back a little more. Don't rush anything. Don't wait too long. Don't move. Don't be too inactive, because those are all things I learned throughout my last 3 fights, and just making adjustments along the way each and every time. The bare knuckle doesn't really make too much of a difference. Yeah, I'm a little more cautious on the movements that I take. Maybe I'm a little more hesitant, but as far as like, you know, my offense or my skill or the instinct to actually throw a punch, all that's still the same.
Yeah, you showed us a lot in this fight for sure. I mean, you showed us all 4 fights. Like you said, you got better and better each one. The first 2 were decisions. The last 2 have been finishes. This one, you get the knockout in the second round again. It was an interesting fight. First, let's start out with, you know, the get up and the look coming into this fight. You had the whole Apollo Creed going with the red, white, and blue. I mean, I know we're close to was it that we're close to July 4th that you wanted to pull out the flag? What was with the whole red, white, and blue flag Apollo Creed thing going that you had coming into this fight?
Honestly, it had nothing to do about 4th of July. It just happened to land on like very close to that date. But I'm riding that wave. I'm kind of just letting everybody think that because they like the thought of it. But funny enough, like I have an American Bully, like 2-year-old dog, and I named him Creed. So I kind of just wanted to do this. And Apollo Creed just passed away, you know. So I kind of just wanted to do this Creed tribute, and you know, Creed in the first Rocky movie compared to me, like we're very similar, just kind of a little cocky, fun showman. So I just felt like it was a good time to represent like my style of fight this time around.
Well, it certainly worked out. And, you know, early on in that fight, it was kind of a lot of feeling out, it felt like. I mean, obviously Rick had a lot bigger height and reach advantage on you, so you got to find and pick your spots. And it seemed like he wasn't really willing to engage and open up much. So it wasn't the most exciting first round for a lot of people, I'm sure. But then you come into the second and, you know, you pull out kind of the showmanship of the Apollo Creed, you know, doing a little dancing, little hands, a little talking. And that seemed to frustrate him and made him start throwing a little more. And all of a sudden you come in and you get the knockout. And then we see the dance afterwards, a little extra showmanship after as well.
Yeah, you know, he made it. You know, what I was trying to do that fight was I was trying to get him, because his past 4 fights, I could tell that he was an aggressive fighter. Like he was willing to bang, he was willing to come forward, and we're like my like when I stepped in there with him and that bell rang, I was kind of thrown off because he was the complete opposite. So I'm over here trying to get him to bite and move forward, and he just wasn't budging. And I was like, that's why that first round I was just feeling it out, seeing what he was going to engage in and whatnot. But even when I stood still in the middle of the ring, he wasn't willing to engage. So I was just, and then that's where I started busting out the dance moves, coming in and out, slowing things down, speeding things up, get him to frustrate, get him to want to engage, and then, you know, switch up that tempo. And that's when I engaged and set up that knockout.
And it certainly worked to perfection. You got the knockout. Another great performance by you. Now number 4 in these rankings. And it's not just, you know, fight fans who have been with the BKFC for a long time that have taken notice. I saw Conor McGregor, the newly minted part owner of the BKFC, also checking you out, checking out your fight, saying, you know, Pete, this kid that he was interested to see you, and you put on a great performance for all the bosses to enjoy. You know, what have you talked to them at all? I mean, have they said anything about a potential title shot, or is it, you know, you got to fight one more before then? What have you heard from Dave Feldman, Nate Shook, and the suits at the BKFC since that fight?
Nothing about a title shot yet. You know, I definitely gained a lot more recognition from David Feldman. You know, a few times that weekend, he just told me how proud of how proud he was of me. He told me, you know, we're going to talk very soon. So, you know, not necessarily gunning for that title shot. I would love to hold it at one point, but, you know, whatever makes the most sense, you know, just like any other fight. I know I'm fighting in September. They just announced that card. or that date. They didn't announce the card yet. So back in Hollywood, September 13th, already looking at some opponents. I don't think it's going to be a title shot, but the negotiation's still up in the air. So who knows what can happen moving forward. I'm not really, like I said, in a rush or anything. The longer it takes for me to get a title shot, the more experience I gain, obviously, and the better the performance will be once I get that title shot.
Yeah, I know there's a couple of names that are on your list that we saw in the interview they did with you. You brought up Ryan Reber. You brought up Kai Stewart, maybe dropping down and facing him or having him come up to you. And then, of course, we know Blaz just won that title. It could be, a great Florida battle down in Hollywood if they do that at the Hard Rock in September. But a lot of options, it seems like, that you're willing to entertain.
Yeah. I mean, I'm ready to take the next step. I would love to fight Reber. I've been talking about since my second fight in the BKFC, just because he was at the top, he was undefeated. I still want to fight him for sure. I would even fight him in a title eliminator if they made that happen. To see who gets to fight Alberto. Kai, definitely. I've been wanting to fight him since I even entered the BKFC. He's on a wave right now. I don't know how he's winning, but I'm ready to shut that down. And he mentioned coming down to 135. So, I told him at the press conference, I was like, if you want to fight back in Montana and you're thinking about coming back to 135, bring me there.
All those names seem very juicy to put Joy Boy against Justin Iberra. Thank you so much for joining us. Great performance, and looking forward to seeing you fight again soon.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots and we've talked about it on here that a law was passed to allow the market to open up, and we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back as we wrap up another episode of Bare Knuckle Fighting Main Event here on SportsGrid. We appreciate you joining us every week as we look at everything going on in the world of the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships. And thanks so much to our guests, the newly crowned light heavyweight champion, Captain Deadpool Jared Warren. Thanks so much also to Justin Iberra, Joy Boy, who certainly had a lot of joy in his last fight over at BKFC 62, showing up in the Creed gear and the get-up, the blue hair, going out and partying afterwards, and knocking out Rick Caruso with a little bit of showmanship in the second round. And thanks so much also to Eric Lozano for joining us as he gets ready to fight August up in Sturgis, up there at Bike Week. Going to be a very interesting mix. About a couple thousand bikers mixing in with the BKFC crowd. Going to be a lot of action there out in Sturgis, and I'm sure the BKFC will fit right in as they have with so many other places that they have gotten invaded. And especially when you get action like we have seen in some of these last couple cards, and one of those fights that we saw that was really exciting. We didn't really get to touch too much on it last week was a heavyweight battle down at BKFC 62 that I want to touch on. Great performance by Leonardo Perdomo. This guy just continues to just rip through people in the heavyweight division. Now, a little smaller, obviously 5'11", but going against a guy in Bercier, people thought this would be his toughest test in the BKFC, a guy who's been there and been through fights for a while with the BKFC, and he really just ran right through him. You see the big punches there. I mean, every punch that Perdomo threw looked like what you just saw, those big hooks and uppercuts. The kind of punches that you could throw with boxing gloves because you're not worried about getting your hands hurt. Not usually the types of huge punches you see in the BKFC because it is so easy to catch a guy wrong off the top of the dome or side of the head and break a finger or a hand or something, and then you're just done for because when it's bare knuckle boxing, all you have are your hands. It's not MMA where you can clinch and try to maybe get a a takedown and some submission or something with the hand that's busted. No, you need that hand. Otherwise, you're fighting without all your tools. Dude just doesn't care. He swings big. He swings for the fences, and he showed once again how tough he is. Of course, he got knockout of the night on that card. Got some great accolades. You had Conor McGregor talking about him and how great his fight was. You see the post there about him talking about Perdomo saying that he's gorgeous, the uppercut, split the face, broke the nose, that this guy is going to be a problem. Some people have said that he's going to be a problem in the heavyweight division. I don't know. I think we'll have to see him evolve a little more to be a true problem to some of these other heavyweights. When you talk about a guy like Mick Terrell, he's a great boxer, not just a great brawler at heavyweight. So while Perdomo's run through some guys, when you're getting against a bigger guy like Terrell, he's going to have that length and that height and that knows so well how to use that reach to maybe go and tire a guy out like he did against Boumaier Adams. That could be a problem for Perdomo possibly. Or maybe it's not. Maybe he just lands one of those big shots and, Mick goes night-night. We will see. All that remains to be seen. But right now, this guy is tearing up through that heavyweight division. You see him getting into those rankings. You see him getting that attention. He is going to do good things, great things maybe in the heavyweight division for the BKFC, and has been so exciting so far for them. So I wanted to make sure we highlighted his performance after we didn't really get to talk about it last week. Speaking of guys who he could fight in this heavyweight division eventually and is doing great things, let's give some shout out to Ben Rothwell. Big Ben Rothwell, of course, one of the best heavyweights in the game in the BKFC. Probably in line next for that title shot against Mick Terrell. They talked about it right after Terrell they're on that same card, so they talked about it right afterwards out in California. But he got a commendation from the Kenosha mayor highlighting his career and his contributions to the community. So while it's always fun to see these guys in the squared circle and girls doing great things in the fighting world, it's even better to see them represent the organization themselves in the community even better. Because you don't always have the greatest opinion of fighters for a lot of people when they're just out and about. But so when you get to see them have awards like this and great things bestowed on them by their community because of how many positive things they do for them, it's always nice to see, and it's always a great representation of themselves, of their team, their coaches, and of course the BKFC. So great work by Big Ben Rothwell and all the things he's done by Kenosha. But more importantly, we look forward to seeing him get back in the squared circle and possibly challenge for that title against Mick Terrell, because that is a fight that we all have been calling for and wanting to see. And, it's one we've been waiting for. Don't know how much longer we'll have to wait. Hopefully not too long, because that should be a great battle. And if not, maybe Perdomo throws his hat in the ring against one of those guys and we see, a slugfest. Any of that would be a great option to see in the heavyweight division of the BKFC. And then we have a lot of cards that are coming up. So who knows? It could be any of these ones that are being announced for the late summer and early fall that we've talked about before. But all that wraps up another episode of Bare Knuckle Fighting Main Event here on SportsGrid. I'm Brian Ciano. Thank you so much. We will talk to you next week and look at all the newest things going on in the world of the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships.